You want to boost your team? I got 10 names you either want to buy low or sell high on in today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we are your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew Ahne. You can find me on X at Matthew_Ahne. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the bell below to subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Also, please, if you're watching on Apple or Spotify or wherever you're listening, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. It really helps out the show, and it goes a long way. If you want a little bit more than what we offer on this 30-minute podcast, check us out on Subtext. Become a member of the Diamond Club, where you'll get way more content than we offer on this 30-minute podcast, plus direct access to us. The link's in the description below. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when you place your first $5 bet and it wins. All right. We had a great episode today. Unfortunately, I'm not joined by Dom, but fortunately for me at least, he's covering me at the end of the week. I am heading to my brother's bachelor party, so I will not be here at the end of the week. So you got one more episode with me this week, and then I'm out. I'll be sitting poolside drinking. But other than that, we got some great stuff for you today. We got 10 names you're either going to buy low or sell high on. Obviously, we're going to start at the top with, buy low. And it feels like just a specific team we're going to buy low on today. It's kind of crazy. When I was picking out the names, it's just like, man, I can't believe this. It's just starting off slow, and this is the perfect capitalization. And I think it's a perfect buying time. And I got explanations for all of them. And it's pretty much the Atlanta Braves minus one player. And let's start off at the top as one of our favorites in the offseason. If you're an everydayer and you listen to this show, you know that we love this player. It's Austin Riley of the Atlanta Braves. And if you're new to the show, welcome. This is an Austin Riley show. Dom and I love him, especially the value going into the drafts. And, getting him in the third round after a slow year in 2024, for him to get off at a slow start this year, it obviously does point to troubles, but also points to a discount. So it's a little bit more in a riskier aspect of it. Why would I buy low on a guy that's coming off a season that was a down year and then is now continuing into the new year? Well, talent should supersede it all. I don't think this guy, Austin Riley, is just going to just let his talent or his skills just fall by the wayside and not come back. Like, that's just not it. There's no injury that's following or anything of the sort. So it has to make me think that, something is going to return to the mean, and he's going to be good again. This year's just a little rough to start, which, hey, it's literally first week of baseball, but people tilt, and this is the perfect opportunity to take advantage of it. So far in the season, he has 35 at bats, 2 runs, a double, no home runs yet. Oh no, I apologize. 1 home run, 3 ribs. He's batting 143. Honestly, I'm not mad at the counting stats. A little bit slower than you'd like, but at the same time, he's got a bomb. He's got 3 ribs. It's just, points leagues, you're screaming because he has 2 walks to 14 strikeouts. He probably has a negative output for you, and the batting average is atrocious. But I'm not like super mad if I'm in like a head-to-head or roto league. Like, yeah, he's mutilating my batting average, but I'm not mad. He's contributing in other categories. Yeah, like the expected batting average is pretty much on par along with the ex-WOBA and slug. The average exit velocity is really nice, 92 miles an hour. He's barreling 23.8% of the time. He's creating hard contact about 42.9% of the time. We'd love to see a little bit more, but still really good. Launch angle's looking really great. And even his bat speed is perfect. He's chasing, but not chasing a lot, which is really good, but he is whiffing and striking out, and he's not really walking either. This, I think, will change. You look at Riley's last couple of years, you take last year out of it, you look at 23. Guy has been has been very solid. He loves to strike out, so he's not really like a big points league guy, but for head-to-head roto and things like that, it's definitely a different aspect. But he's still positive in even points. He's just not as valuable because even in these seasons where he posted like a 281 batting average, a 273, a 303, he strikes out, quite a bit. 59 walks to 172 strikeouts in 2023. 2022, 57 walks to 168 strikeouts. So it's a little rough, but you know what? 37 home runs, 38 home runs, good runs and ribs, really does perform in the counting stats. Why he's a little bit more valuable in obviously head-to-head roto leagues and roto leagues. But I like what Riley could do. I don't think this is the end. We see some of the stuff under the hood that's there. Things just got to kind of catch up behind the plate. And I think it will. I don't think he's going to be in this rut, but it's the perfect buying opportunity because there is that kind of shadow casted over him of his poor performance last year. And, you want to kind of capitalize on people freaking out. You know, this is the ultimate buy. So I challenge you to go out there and try and acquire him. You're gonna have to pay not like a full premium. You're not gonna be able to take two of these guys on this list later in the show and be able to just go out and get Austin Riley, like by no means. But he's a guy I'm trying to target and buy low. So what is a buy low for me? So Riley was a third round pick. I'm trying to trade like a guy that's overperforming that I got in the sixth, seventh, or eighth round. And then pairing him up with a guy later in this episode that hopefully you have, and then say, here you go. And you know that the guy from this show is probably not going to have long term value. And yet you're going to get a guy that has long term value and a guy that you don't feel is going to live up to Riley's performance, and you've won that trade. So buying low right now, this early is the perfect opportunity to get in on Austin Riley. So I really recommend going out and doing so. Let's move on to our next guy, another Atlanta Brave, Ozzie Albies, second baseman for the Atlanta Braves. And he's another one having a really slow start. And again, I don't think it's um going to be as bad. Yeah, so like I don't think he's going to be as bad of a season going forward. I mean, yeah, he's starting off slow as can be like a snail's pace, but he's still really good himself. Look, yeah, he has 36 at bats this season, 4 runs, a double, a bomb, 5 ribs, but he's batting 194 as well. But he has a 50% strikeout rate right now, four strikeouts to 2 walks. I'm not mad at that. Look, last year wasn't as ugly. Yes, the peripherals were bad, 52 runs and 53 ribs and, 10 home runs, 400 at bats pretty much, and still 50% strikeouts with a batting average of 251. Now, we're all chasing 2023 season where he kind of just really went off with 33 home runs and really just was awesome that year. I think like a year like that is coming again. He's not like that was his first time career high. Did it again in 21. His biggest issue is you just sometimes just can't stay healthy. So as long as he's healthy, I think he's going to be just fine. He's one of the best second basemen in the league. My number one second baseman behind Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts, I don't count. He's such a Swiss Army knife. But ultimately, like I look at Ozzie Albies, and again, he's another guy who's 28 years old, been doing it since he's 20. The talent just doesn't disappear. I think he's going to be just fine too. You look at under the hood for him, his expected batting average is actually 275, where he's posting a 194. That's a positive sign. His xWOB is a little bit lower at 328, but not atrocious. His X slug is at 449. His average exit velocity sitting at 89.2. You're not really mad at that. You look at the previous year for his average exit velocity was a lot lower. And last year it was, an 88.4. So it's an improvement. And then you look at even, 2023 when he had the 30 home runs, it was at 88.7. So he's actually up right now in that. Obviously small sample size, but still. He's barreling about 6.3% of the time. Obviously, you want to see that get better. That's not as bad too either because he's like an 8.2 in his really good season, so it's not too far off as to what kind of, will make him get there essentially. Has he done it with these weird underlining stats not being where you would think would be for a 30 home run guy? Hard contact rating about 34.4% of the time, whereas in 23, about 39, so it's not far off. Launch angle is definitely a little bit down, but I think that'll improve. And he's not whiffing and he's not striking out, which is beautiful. He's just chasing a little bit, which is I think getting him in trouble. Look, Ozzie Albies is one of my favorite players in the league. And it's not me playing favorites. It's just I think that he's an electric player that really contributes to the Atlanta Braves. I also feel that he's a really good player out on the field, and he's going to contribute for fantasy baseball. He's literally a cheat code at second base. Second base has been kind of rough. So like there's guys overperforming. Like I'll give you a little hint into what's coming up later. Bryce Terang, who's overperforming in my opinion, was really just a stolen base novelty at this point. And whereas you could probably pair him with somebody else to go out and get Ozzie Albies, where I'd much rather do that. I'd much rather have Ozzie Albies. The ceiling is much higher than having a Terang or another guy that's a lower tiered second baseman that's unproven. Whereas I have a a regular hot commodity, somebody that's done it time in and time out in Ozzie Albies. So that's where I'm targeting him in trades right now as well. And I recommend you do as well. Hence why I'm having this podcast. So look, coming up next, I got other guys coming up that I truly feel are guys that are going to be obtainable and be able to trade for. So stick around. I got way better names coming up next. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, and you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into a player prop. From three pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet on your favorite player props. Plus, after game tips off, you can even combine live props bets into same game parlays for chances to win big. And look, since the playoffs are here, I'm honestly I'm rooting not really for the Lakers anymore. I'm rooting against them, and that's okay. If you're a Laker hater because of all the stuff they've been doing with just obtaining one of the best players in the league for free 99 from the Mavs, let's root against them and place a bet against them. It's that easy, and that's what I'm doing this playoffs. Don't miss out. And head to fanduel.com and claim your $250 bonus bet today. And guys, if you want a little bit more than what we offer in this 30-minute podcast, check us out on Subtext, become a member of the Diamond Club. Look, you want to get ahead of your league and find out when, prospects are being called up. You want some waiver wire rankings, you want a little bit more insight and some points that were made and highlighted from the show, or you just want to ask us a question, check us out. Join us on the Subtext. You have direct access to Dom and I, and you'll be able to ask us all the questions. Is this trade good for me, etc. So check us out. Links in the description below, and you get a free 2 weeks for joining. So check us out. All right, let's get back into this. Let's talk about Corey Seager of the Texas Rangers. Another guy that I feel we could buy in low. I think he's having a rough start, but look, another guy that when he's healthy, he's one of the better bats in the league. It's odd that he's starting off slow. 28 at bats, 2 runs, a bomb, a rib, 3 walks to 8 strikeouts, and batting 179. Look, first week of baseball. Him, on the other hand, it's going to be a little harder to try and get out of a team's hand, but I'm going to try and target him. Buying low, even if I'm getting him, you know, 85 cents on the dollar, I'm trying to do it. He does come with risks because the dude has not played a full season in since 2022. So 2 seasons so far. And I don't foresee him really playing a full season again, but when he plays, he's incredible. I mean, even in 123 games last year, still posted 30 home runs on a team that was still had a very impactful play for your team. And in 2023, he played 119 games, so what, 4 games less, had 33 home runs, and that team was rocking and rolling, obviously, and he killed it and still had great peripherals. I think the team is going to take a positive step forward this year. Wyatt Langford already is, and Corey Seager will eventually kick it in. Now, I'm going to try and buy low. I'm not going to insult them, obviously, when I send out a trade. I'm obviously going to pair a guy later in this episode with a player that actually is going to kind of really be the deciding piece of the trade. But I feel like you can get him on a discount. If you're getting him 85 cents on the dollar, I'm not mad at that. It is still 2 weeks into it. And people are going to tend to be a little bit more patient because, one, shortstop, there's a serious drop off. 2, he still had an awesome season when he did play last year. So it's not like, Ozzie Albies and Austin Riley that are coming with a shadow over them. But still, somebody that I think you could still buy low. So they probably are not really happy with the situation as well. Like having Corey Seager, a guy that is known to have some injuries, and already maybe you could say, like, look, maybe he's playing bad because he's hurt. I'm just going to take him off your hands and we'll see what happens. I'm willing to take the risk. Here it is. You got to have the conversation. You got to build the angle that you're going to take them off the team. And you're doing them a favor at the end of the day. It's also a matter of having that conversation. You get good at it after a while. You start talking people into doing trade. You got to be a salesman. That's what I do. And that's how you get trades done. But ultimately, this one's going to be a little bit harder to sell. Now let's move on. Let's talk about Chris Sale. Back to the Atlanta Braves, but a pitcher this time. And Chris Sale, I think, is a buy low. Now, reason why I say that is not because of just his performance this year, but age 36, posted a 5.4 ERA through 10 innings and has 12 strikeouts with a whip of 1-1. Look, the FIP is significantly better. It's posting at 289. Fielding independent pitching, if you don't know what that is, essentially, if you had an average defense behind you, this would be your ERA. Chris Sale is really good. He had an amazing, you know, bounce back year after having a couple of years dealing with injury, kind of working his way back. I love when he finally got to Atlanta, things just kind of went right for him. He's one of my favorite pitchers. I've been following him since he, got the call into the bigs. I love the dude. Chris Sale is incredible. So there was a lot of talk in preseason leading up to draft season. Hey, you should probably avoid him. He's going as a top 12 arm, SP1, and nobody thinks he can repeat it. The draft price was a little too high. With all that kind of stain and thought process going over Chris Sale, it sticks with people, especially early because draft season just happened, right? Try and buy low on that. He's having a bad start. He's older. Maybe last year was a fluke or was his last hurrah. Have that conversation. Try and buy low. You're going to have to pay somewhat of a premium, but I think you still get him at a discount as well. Join me on the subtext and ask me a couple questions on your trade ideas, and I might be able to help you. But I don't see a world where the conversation isn't going to be entertained. At least it's a matter of, are you going to be able to meet that team's needs as well? But I think that you'd be able to at least start the conversation and possibly walk away with Chris Sale at a discount than when you got him in draft season. And that's the biggest part. Upgrading your team to have higher tier players, but not paying the price. And that's the great part about buying low. That's what we're going to do with Chris Sale. So I'm doing it. And just to give you a little vote of confidence, let's look under the hood too. Look, his fastball sitting at 93.6 miles an hour. Last year was at 94.7. So it's down a mile per hour, which is a little bit concerning. The breaking balls and fastball a little bit flatter than last year as well. But I think that, 10 innings isn't his story yet either. But this is a conversation to have. Yes, it does carry risk. The guy's 36. He has injuries over the last couple of years. Last year was his first real true season, but he still has some good stuff too. Average exit velocity sitting at 88.3. He's getting guys to chase it 40% of the time, creating whiffs 28% of the time, getting Ks about 27% of the time, not really walking guys, and really suppressing the hard contact at 32.1% of the time. There is some positives even in the mile per hour down. And it might just take him a little time to ramp up, which might be part of his program and his progression. Let's see what happens. But it's all great talking points to try and acquire Chris Sale. Let's move on. Let's get to his last, buy low guy. Well, William Contreras. William Contreras on the show, he was a bust. He was going in the top 25 picks, and I did not think he was worth a top 25 pick. And I still stand by that. And the reason being is you don't draft a catcher that high. There's guys going around that time that is going to outperform his total production on the season than other players. And having the advantage at I was going to say tight end. I'm getting football mixed in there. A catcher, I don't feel is a true advantage, especially in, actually in any platform of point scoring, whether it's roto, head-to-head roto, or even points, because it only goes so far. If you lose out on a guy that's going to put up more home runs, more ribs, and have a better batting average or an equal batting average, and have stolen bases, or any of the combination, then you lost out because there's a limitation to who William Contreras is going to be. Even last year, even though he had almost 600 at bats, look, 99 runs, fantastic. 23 home runs, 92 ribs, 9 stolen bases, and batted 281. Guys were going around that spot that were doing that and more and had a higher ceiling. And that's kind of the extent of why William Contreras is slower. Now, trading for him, especially with the slow start and all the conversation about him being a bust and people avoiding catcher that early, makes them regret it, makes them have to play makeup, especially when he's performing really low. You're not going to get him at 50 cents on the dollar. Do not get me wrong, but he's a target. You want an upgrade, you want to take the risk, try and move him, make a move for him and see what you can do. You definitely pair him with one of the guys later in the show, but also too, you try and, get a guy 2-round discount, 3-round get discount, get him and something, work on it. There's ways. Hit me up. I will help you with that trade. William Contreras is an obtainable piece. It's just a matter of what you're willing to pay and if the needs meet on both sides. Look, they're probably freaking out because they're definitely lost out on some vital players that could have really boosted their team. This is why we don't draft catchers that early. But yeah, anyway, it is what it is. William Contreras is still going to be phenomenal at the end of the season. Number one catcher. just not better than other guys that were going around him, and hence the great buying options. So stick around. We're going to get into those sell high players, and there's quite a few, but not as much to say. So that's why I spent so much time on the buy lows. But I promise you, there is a lot of guys that you probably aren't even thinking of that are really that kind of hot commodity coming up next. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients changes the game with clean, high quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers NSF certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre workouts, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they are free from substance banned by by major league organizations. Just Ingredients has also partnered with two-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF certification sports line to fuel his training recovery. Clean and transparent ingredients. I love their Just Ingredients prioritizes wholesome, nourishing ingredients without artificial junk. And honestly, it's in everything these days. It's actually a refreshing breath to have that in there. I love what they sent us so far between the chocolate protein and the pre-workouts. You don't want to miss that. Whether you're into recovering after a workout or need an energy boost, their grass-fed protein and pre-workout delivers real results. It's awesome. Just visit justingredients.us and use the code locked on MLB for 20% off. And for more wellness tips, just follow Just Ingredients, just.ingredients on Instagram. All right, let's get in this. Let's finish the show up. Let's start with some sell highs now. Wiley Abreu of the Boston Red Sox. Look, he's killing it right now, but who in their right mind is really thinking that this kid is about to come out and show out the way he started off the season? Not me. Definitely not me. Look, he was a good prospect, but not this good. Look, he's coming out the start of the season, 3 home runs, or better yet, let me read the whole stat line from the start. 29 at bats, 10 runs, 3 doubles, 3 bombs, 12 ribs, a stolen base, batting 483. Obviously, it's not sustainable, the batting average. The home run pace is outrageous. I don't think that's there either. He posted 15 in almost 400 bats last year. You know, he's showed power in the past in the minors, but the batting average was never really truly consistent. It's all over the place, but we'll see what it brings. Look, if he hits 260, I'd be happy. Do I think he's going to hit 30 home runs? Probably not. Um, do I think he has the stolen base potential? No. I mean, yes, you look at like what he's done in 22, where he had 31 stolen bases, but then he posts, 8 in the minors in 23, and then 8 last year, and then, 1 this year. Who knows? It's also a matter of philosophy for Boston. So I don't know what's in store for him, but I'm not willing to stick around and find out. I'd much rather sell high and capitalize and try and buy low on one of the players I mentioned earlier in the show. Wilder Abreu, I'm not really a fan of in those regards, and I don't think I'm going to hold on to him, especially in redraft leagues and even in dynasty and keeper leagues. Like, he's not somebody you're truly like, oh, this is the focal point of my team type thing. I'd rather move him and get upgrade. And that's exactly what I'll do with Wilder Abreu, somebody that I picked up off waiver wires or somebody I got later in a draft, somebody that's overperforming astronomically, and see if I can make a move. I mentioned him at the top of the show when I was talking about, Ozzie Albies, and I'm talking about Bryce Terang here. Terang is another one. Definitely overperforming, without a doubt. Wow, things are out of order for me. Here we go. So far on the season, Terang has 40 at bats, 10 runs, a double, 2 bumps, 6 ribs, 2 stolen bases, batting 325. Look, I'm all for the Terang, kind of breakout, but there's certain things in his game that I just don't think are ever going to be there. Okay. Power, for instance, is just not there. Look, he's on a good pace right now. He's showing out. People might be getting excited, but all he really is a stolen base guy. As in the minors, in the majors so far, he hasn't really posted a batting average that he's posted in the minors, where he's had like a 298 season, a 286 season, even a 258 season. It just never came to fruition. Since he's been called up, it's been 218, 254. This season, he's showing out at 325, but again, it's only through 40 at bats. So he's really just like a mediocre batting average if he hits 250, which I think it's going to be more like 240, where he's going to get you 50 stolen bases. He's on a team that is probably going to cap, his output in terms of runs. So maybe 70 to 80. And then ribbies are going to be low. So, what is he really doing for you? Now, for me, I am 100% going to try and move him. He's definitely overperforming. I'm going to try and buy in. He's probably not your starting second baseman at this point, and especially if you picked up like a Christian Campbell. Um, so you're going to probably just try and move him and try and upgrade. And I think he's a great upgrade piece. Just look at a team for that has a need for stolen bases, that can see the output that he's putting at, and try and sell high. Obviously, you're going to package him with somebody depending on how high of a shot you're trying to take. But Terang is definitely going to be a conversational piece, somebody that might move the needle in terms of the difference of getting the deal done and not having the deal done. So I'm definitely trying to sneak him in trades in that way. So Bryce Terang definitely needs to be moved and traded up for used to trade up. And let's do that. Now, this next guy, Brandon Lowe or Lau, I forget which one is which, right? Um, of the God, what team is he even on now? That's such a funny thing. No, I'm kidding. It's just my stuff is all over the place. Still the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm totally kidding. Him hitting in the minor league park is awesome. I think that what, if he were to play 500 at Mats, he'd probably have 40 some odd home runs. That I can 100% guarantee. Problem is he's never going to do it. Okay, he hasn't played more than 110 games since 2021, and before that, never. So he's done 149 games in total in 2021, and that was a great year with 39 home runs. Look, it's just not in the cards for him. But you ride him when he's hot. Look, he's hot right now, and he's a perfect trade away target. With 3 home runs already in the bank, with 5 runs, and you know 8 ribs, batting 306 right now. He's looking real good. Sell him. Sell him to a team that's hurting. Sell him to a team that lost Josh Young or lost Freddie Freeman. I mean, the dude has eligibility right now at second and outfielder. You know, there is guys that are going down like dropping like flies. Let's move Lowe and just get him gone. And I like anything at this point, because he's not going to be there all year. So do it now and see if you can capitalize and help another team and upgrade your team. He's going to be a needle mover as well. But let's move on. Let's talk about Brendan Donovan. Donovan is one of my favorite, sell high guys. He's always starts off hot. I always get yelled at for this take every single year by our fans, but it's fun because I always end up being right by the end of the season. You got the Donovan truthers out there that are just obsessed with him and enamored, and I'm not. I'm definitely not a Donovan guy, and you shouldn't be either. Look, last year was a good year, but isn't wonderful. 587 at bats, 65 runs, 34 doubles, awesome in points leagues, 3 triples, 14 home runs, 73 ribs, 5 stolen bases, batted 278, and struck out walked a little bit more than 50%, which is good to strike out, but it's okay. It's nothing special. Now, the way I look at it is there is Donovan truthers out there that will pay up to get this kid, especially when he's hot. Oh, this is the year and I don't have him. Oh my God. Slip him in the deal. I'm not saying you're going to walk away with any of the guys I mentioned up top, just straight up. That's just not happening. But again, a needle mover, a guy that you might be able to move for a guy that's underperforming, that is a little bit on the lower spectrum that you think has upside, or just trying to fill holes in areas you need to do. Donovan is a great moving piece. That's what I would do. That's what I do. Sometimes I have a need on my team and I need to buy a lower kind of tier guy, but higher tier than what I have. And I have a guy that's overperforming. Let me see what I can get. Like if I need a pitcher, for instance, and Donovan might be my sell high, I can see the guy's struggling. His bats aren't performing. Look, let me go out there and get somebody that's either hurt or is on a lower tier that you may not value as much, but I see some upside. I can't think of a name off the top of my head, but you can totally get that done. Now let's move on to a pitcher here, Nick Lodolo, the Reds. He's another one. So Lodolo hasn't been able to stay healthy for a while. A while. I loved him coming up. I was like a full blown groupie for him. I thought he was awesome. Now, last year when he did come back from injury, pitched 115 innings, 122 strikeouts, a 4.76 ERA with a 1.19 WHIP, almost on that cusp of even a high WHIP. This year he's coming out 12 innings, 5 strikeouts, a 1.42 ERA with a 3.56 FIP and a .71 WHIP. Look, he pitches in Reds Stadium, Great American Hitter Park. The ball is going to fly. Last year gave up 13 home runs through 115 innings. Even the year before, 10 home runs and 13 home runs the last couple years. So, and that 10 home run year was in 34 innings. So things just aren't always great, especially pitching in Great American Hitter Park. So I'm trying to sell and just trying to buy on the guys that know the name and or a fan and trying to get that needle move. Hey, look, he's performing this time. Check him out. Throw him in the end of the deal and see if that's the needle mover to get the deal done. Filling up the trades with guys that you're not really valuing, but have some kind of, you know, excitement around them is the perfect thing. That's why I picked some names that have some action, some capture to a fantasy player, but I feel just aren't as value as others. So that's why I'm willing to move him as well. Guys, thank you for hanging out with me today. I think that today's episode was successful. Hopefully, I gave you some ideas and got the gears turning on to make some trades. And I think that if you have any questions or anything like that, hit us up on Subtext. I promise you, we'll be able to help you out. So, guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, do everything you can to share this show. We truly appreciate it. And when you're done, check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB. Gives great real baseball coverage and no fantasy aspect at all. So, peace out, guys.